Welcome to Monday Club! Woo! Hello, all you beautiful people out there. I am Peter Bois. I'm here with my buddy Gus Davis, and welcome to Monday Club. Today, we cheers to drinking beer fast enough so you don't die. I order smelling salts. Gus has horrible IHOP service. I go to NYC with Norman Ing, guest from a couple podcasts ago, see 2 magic shows. We talk about homeless people, and yeah, that's about it. Welcome to Monday Club. Cheers!
Cheers, my friend. It's good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too, man. Cheers to drinking beer fast enough so you don't die.
Oh my, did you see this video, Pete?
I just watched it, my friend.
Dude, so for those of you who haven't had a chance to click on anything yet, here's the image that's been going around. It's basically some redneck drunk dude out in the middle of a party. He's got this, like, I can only describe it as a contraption from the movie Saw around his neck and head that turns his whole neck into a giant tub.
It's like a trash can around your head.
It is. It's like
an
a
airtight
giant
on the
clear,
back, though.
Yeah, it's like
bottom.
a giant clear trash can all around your head with, I don't know if you could see it, it's got this seal, like this rubber seal so it doesn't drip down his collar. And his buddies pour in buckets of Pabst Blue Ribbon.
How do we know they're Pabst, Gus?
Well, we know this from the video, my friend.
Because they're Pabst buckets.
Into this giant clear thing. And basically, if he was Houdini, this would be such a great drunken Houdini stuff.
No. So it fills all the way up to his top of his head, right? With beer, and he has to drink it fast enough to get the level below his nose so he can breathe again.
Yeah, it's insane. It's truly insane. And I was watching this video, I keep thinking to myself, man, that's 90% foam.
Yeah. Oh my God, all the air you're sucking in there, you're gonna have major burps.
Oh, which are going to be trapped in a giant can on top of your head.
Man, I would not be surprised if there's an article out there, man dies from losing the battle with beer.
Well, and this contraption doesn't look to be homemade. I don't know any other way to say it. It looks like this is the culmination of years and years of research to make this beer death bucket that goes around your head.
I'm Googling beer head bucket. I'm going to see if we can buy one of these.
Oh my God,
Thirsty
if this
Planet
is available,
Brewing
this
Company.
would be great.
No, that's just an IPA. Head bucket. But that's incredible. Cheers to this guy for being able to drink beer fast enough so he doesn't... I mean, that's a whole bucket of beer. That's got to be, what, a 6-pack?
At least, man, because his friends pour 2 buckets into this giant clear bucket, and it's got enough diameter around his face that it can support not just his head inside this bucket, but all of this beer that gets poured in there. I'm guessing it's a 12-pack. And now he doesn't have to drink it all the way down, but he's got to get it below his nose so he can live.
Yeah, and he's racing with his buddy right now on his right side. Wow. Cheers to these guys for having mad drinking skills.
True that, my friend. So, dude, I'm so excited. This is a really exceptional drinking week for us here at Monday Club. Pete, what are you drinking?
I am making good on a promise, not a beer promise. I am drinking a mojito. This is my famous homegrown mint mojito that I have talked about for 2 episodes in a row now. And in case you didn't get the recipe, what you do is you have an ounce of simple syrup, which is you dissolve 1 part water to 1 part sugar. I usually do a cup and cup and leave it in the fridge. So you have 1 ounce simple syrup, 1 ounce lime juice, and then you muddle 10 to 15 mint leaves on the bottom there. Muddling is just kind of pressing it down so you bruise it. You don't want to destroy it. Yeah, you just want to bruise it a little bit. And then you pour 2 ounces of your favorite rum in there, preferably some sort of clear rum. And then you put crushed ice in it, mix it all up, top it off with a splash of seltzer water.
That sounds delicious, my friend. So, what's your rum of choice?
I'm just using the Bacardi Silver or the clear Bacardi. But here's something cool. Look what I found online. This is an actual mojito straw. So have you ever drank a mojito and you got a bunch of shit in the bottom from the mint leaves? And you just sucking it right through the straw? I have this metal straw that has a sieve. It's an enclosed bottom. The word sieve comes to mind.
Strainer. It's like a strainer.
Strainer, yeah, that's what I'm looking for, strainer. It's like a strainer on the bottom so you can't suck any of that junk through. And you just get beautiful mouthfuls of mojitos every time.
I gotta say, man, there's so much here. One, I'm super jealous that you have a mint garden that you can make your own fresh mojitos in. Two, that straw is amazing. I guarantee you in the next week I will have one of those straws because, as you know, I am terrified of drinking anything through a straw where a seed or anything like that might come up through the straw. It's my worst nightmare. So I'm just going to travel around to different restaurants with this thing. It's going to save my life. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
And lastly, how crazy is it that there are specialty straws out there to drink alcohol with? That's somebody's job. Somebody's job is to wake up and say, hey, today we're going to process 50 mojito straws. And that's what we're doing. That's crazy.
I love it, man. You don't get any of that junk up there. What are you drinking?
So I'm making good on one of our Monday Club famous pastimes where one of our wonderful listeners bought us a beer. And this is Mr. Dustin Gibson. Again, super shout out to you, my friend. However, his beer that he wanted us to try is this exceptionally hard to find beer here in Austin, Texas, and I think it's even seasonal. So it's from Ballast Point Brewing Company, and it's called Victory at Sea. And dude, get this, it's 10% alcohol by volume.
That's like a glass of wine.
It's crazy. In fact, I checked this thing out, and the lady at the store, who I got the very last bottle of this stuff, the lady at the store said, hey, that beer has so much alcohol percentage by volume that it's totally cool if you want to store it for about a year and let it age some more.
Really?
Like, what? It's like if you leave a Coors Light outside for 15 minutes, it's pretty much just a skunky beer.
Throw it out. You're done.
But I just cracked it open. I just tasted it. It's a combination of Guinness and espresso.
Huh.
I'm pretty sure by the end of this one beer, I will be buzzed off of, like, coffee. You get super coffee flavors in it. But I like dark beer, and it's really, really good. So, Dustin, thank you so much for buying us a beer, for being part of Monday Club, just for the bro hug and the beer. So, thanks, man.
Cheers, Gus. Man, I'm super jealous of you. I struck out both times on our beer, the people who bought us beer, and I think that means Austin is better importer of amazing beers.
Yeah, that's probably true, but I'll tell you, I'm jealous of you because what you've got over Austin is, for me to leave my house and get to a cool city, it takes me about 6 hours in any direction to get anywhere else that would be fun to hang out in.
You're right.
For
Maine is
you,
better than Austin.
Yeah, for you, what is it? It's like a 3-hour drive to New York?
It's about a 5.5 hour drive to the city.
Still, that's pretty great. And you can go to New York, New Jersey.
Boston's an hour and a half. We got
That's crazy. So
Maine's 30 minutes.
Anyway, I'm jealous of you, but I'll be jealous while drinking this awesome free beer.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening to Monday Club. We really appreciate it. Check us out on iTunes. Subscribe there. Give us a little love. We always appreciate that. And let us know how we're doing. You can always email us at mondayclubpodcast@gmail.com. Also, if you want to buy us a beer, you can do that too. Just PayPal us however much your drink costs and tell us all about it. And PayPal us at mondayclubpodcast@gmail.com. We will accept all beer nations. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to put a special plug in there. You don't even have to buy us a beer. Like, we're not panhandling to you. If you have a favorite beer that you'd like us to try, send it to us in email or on Facebook, any of the social media. Let us know, and we would be happy to take your suggestions as well. Our goal for Monday Club, for us in particular, is to try a bunch of different beers and mixed drinks throughout Monday Club. So send us a shout. We'd be happy to try your thing out.
So, Gus, I was having a conversation with a friend at a party a week or so ago, and we were talking about smelling salts. So, you know, the things you put under your nose to, if you're passed out, you get hit too hard in a football game, they put smelling salts under your nose and you're supposed to wake up.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought there was only one kind of smelling salt, and that was the kind if you got a concussion on the football field that they would put that under your nose. But
That's it. That's what I'm talking about.
oh, okay.
Smelling salts, yeah. It says ammonia inhalants for respiratory stimulant for inhalation only, latex free. And so immediately I went to my phone and I bought a package of smelling salts on Amazon Prime. And
Okay, wait, pause. You can buy smelling salt on Amazon Prime?
okay, I'll take half that back. It was not on Prime, but it was free shipping. It eventually got to my house. But yes, on Amazon, I immediately one-click bought it. And because I was thinking this would be great to have in my car for those late night trips when I'm falling asleep at the wheel. What if I need a quick pick-me-up and there's not a small bottle of cocaine nearby? So that's why I brought some ammonia.
Dude, I'm glad we're doing this on air because I'm pretty sure that smelling salts are the gateway drug to cocaine. It's like one late night, you remember you have smelling salt, you go ahead and do it all awkwardly in the back of your car, and 3 weeks later, you're just like strung out on crack cocaine in the trunk of somebody's car in Las Vegas. It's like, just be careful, man. Just be careful.
I'll try. All I can say is smelling salts. Oh, so you know what? Football players use these before they go on the field. You'll see quarterbacks just kind of take whiffs of these, or anybody and it's supposed to stimulate your brain and make you be able to make decisions quicker and just be overall quicker and more alert.
So, are there any warnings on the back of your smelling salts
Good
about
question.
mixing smelling salt and alcohol?
No, it says drug facts, active ingredient, each inhalant has 15% ammonia, 35% alcohol. I don't know what's in the rest of it. Warnings, for external use only. Uses to prevent or treat fainting. Do not use if you have breathing problems such as asthma or emphysema. I do not. Stop use and ask a doctor if conditions persist. What conditions? I don't know what conditions. Okay, so all right, here's the directions. I'm good. So I'm going to try one of these right now.
You're going to do this on air.
We're going to do this right here.
I'm so excited.
Directions. Hold inhalant away from face and crush between thumb and forefinger. Carefully approach crushed inhalant to nostrils of affected person. I guess I would be the affected person. So,
wait. Before you do this, are there any other instructions? Like, I don't want this to be a banana bandana experience where you do this and then afterwards it says, if you start hallucinating, you should call a paramedic immediately or something like that.
No, two sentences of directions. Oh, there's red dye number 40 in here. Just kidding. I'm not allergic to that. Okay.
All right. I'm going to be a commentator. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Magician Peter Bois, famous for his stunts and his street performances, has just crushed a package of smelling salts that he got.
Here it goes.
All right, here he goes. It's approaching the nostrils.
Oh my God, that was awful! Oh my God, is that Oh my God, that went right to my brain. That was amazing. I got to do it again. Oh, it's like taking a bottle of Windex and pouring it down your nostrils. Oh my God, that was insane.
Man, watching that, it was true. I wish I had that in slow-mo. Maybe we'll do that again and play that video in slow-mo.
Oh my God, man. This is insane. Wow. My heart is racing. I'm extremely alert. I feel 10 times more awake. Wow, this podcast is going to be really quick for me. I wonder how long it takes to come down from this shit.
So I'm sure because you've been on the road late nights, you've tried 5-hour energy and stuff like that, right?
It just gets worse. I have tried 5-hour energy, yep.
What would you say was a quicker response?
Smelling salts by far. This could be life-changing for people and life-saving. Seriously, you crush one of these and sniff it, take a big whiff, you're not gonna have any trouble doing that 3-hour drive at 2 a.m.
Well, let me ask you this. Is it funking up your whole studio right now? As in, if you did this in a rental car, are you going to return the rental car and they're going to be like, who did you fucking kill and leave in the trunk?
No, it doesn't smell around me. I can't tell because my nostrils are burned to shit. No, I don't smell anything around me. It's only coming from this little packet that I crushed. And it's slightly on my fingers, but it's not bad. It just smells like Windex. That ammonia smell. It's just really intense.
Wow. All right. So you would recommend this to your performer friends or for anyone who's out there driving late night?
Yeah, totally. Yes, definitely. If you have trouble staying awake and you need to drive late at night, keep a pack of these in your glove or in your backpack, and this could really save your life. Do you know how awake I am now?
Or if you're trying to watch the Hobbit trilogy, just have a package of these smelling salts with you so that you can make it all the way through those stupid movies.
If you're ever on Netflix and you need to make your way through that whole season of House of Cards before tomorrow. Wow, that was crazy. I'm really happy.
Dude, I'm proud of you for doing that for science.
Thank you, yeah, for science.
I'm a little concerned that your nostrils seem to be swollen right now.
It was so crazy. It literally, I took one big swiff, inhale, and it went right to the back of and top of my head, and it just tingled. My entire head tingled, and yeah, I would do that again.
All right. Well, if I see you trying to sneak some sniffs during the show, I'm gonna really have an intervention with you, my friend. Dude, that reminded me. I was out with some friends one time a few years ago. We went to sushi, and one sake bomb led to another, and one of our friends, we dared him to do a snooter shot, like where you suck something up through your nose, of the green wasabi sauce. Ugh. And he was like, oh yeah, I don't care. And so he did it, and then he just got real quiet and real sad for about the next hour.
That sounds awful.
Oh, I'm sure it was just brutal.
I can't even take wasabi sauce in my mouth, let alone my nose. That just sounded bad. With that...
Hey, it's time for Stories from the Road.
All right, so this week, my friend, I was traveling. We were doing a bunch of late-night grad shows, and I was traveling to Midland, Texas, which is basically the armpit stain of Texas. It was truly not a nice place. And
I've been there.
Yeah.
Well,
then you might have seen the IHOP that they have there that we ended up eating at.
Is that like the Home Depot?
No, it's not. It's not anything like the Home Depot. So James and I sat down and ate at this IHOP, and from start to finish, it was one of the craziest experiences at a IHOP that I've had in a very long time. They were on a 20-minute wait. There was just all of these just very interesting characters walking around. Some people in wife beaters and torn up shirts, and some people that were just getting out of church, and like all of this different stuff. And finally, we got seated, and our waitress.
They were coming out of church in wife beaters?
Yeah, I mean, it was just it was just a very mixed group of people. Yeah. Anyway, our waitress for this, I mean, God bless her, she was doing the best she could, but I'm pretty sure she was not sober, and on either drugs or alcohol, I couldn't really tell. And she just couldn't get a single thing right. Like, nothing came out right. The food didn't really come out right. She brought us drinks, and she put to-go lids over our drinks that were in glass cups. And it was like for no reason. And then
she gave you a sippy cup?
She gave us a sippy cup, yeah.
She's like, oh, you're a bunch of adults, you need a
table.
sippy cup.
And then we were finishing up our meal, and we were ready to pay, and she just had it at this restaurant. She was just done, and she just stands up and she says, all right, any of my tables, I don't have time to write any of you receipts, so y'all just come up to the front, and I'll just check you out up there. We're like, okay.
The laziest server of all time.
Right? Well, then it was funny because she made this announcement and then immediately went outside to have a smoke break.
That's probably why.
There's this long line of people that form up that are all trying to leave and be nice about it and actually pay their bill and stuff, and she's just nowhere to be found. So finally...
It's like, my job is interfering with my smoke breaks. This is not cool.
Right.
Maybe I should turn her on to smelling salts.
Dude, smelling salts might have gotten our shit done. That would have been good. So, finally, she comes back inside after some more shenanigans and basically looks at us and just makes up a number. She's like, that's $25.25. Like, without hitting any buttons on the computer at all. And we're like, all right, here you go. She's like, yep, bye. and then walks away. It was super, super awkward. And it took a really, really long time to get through IHOP, which is one of my pet peeves. It's like I hate for just crappy restaurants. You know, I'm not saying IHOP's a crappy restaurant, but I'm saying
I
it's
think
not
you just did say that.
gourmet restaurant. It's not a restaurant that you're there to enjoy the ambiance or anything like that. I hate it when IHOP takes an hour to an hour and a half for what's basically fast food of the breakfast world.
Do you think you came out ahead in that transaction?
Yeah, I do think I came out ahead in that transaction, though not for my time. And one of the things I didn't tell you is she gave us coffee. No, I ordered coffee, and she said, "Oh, you don't want the coffee right now. It's cold."
What?
I said, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, the machine's been broken. It's coming out cold." And I said, all right." And then about 10 minutes later, she brings me coffee, and she says, the manager said he fixed it. But then what came out was basically just wet coffee grounds. Like, it was completely undrinkable. It was just, the whole thing was just a crazy, crazy experience at a restaurant.
Wow, I have a real soft spot for breakfast joints. I love Waffle Houses. Coming in second or third is IHOPs. Any place you can get coffee and eggs and bacon and pancakes, I adore.
Oh, me too, dude. I love the Waffle Houses. I even like good IHOP experiences. And Cracker Barrels, those are some of my favorites. But, dude, there's like a certain cutoff of time that I'm willing to be at those places. I was at a Waffle House one time where we were the only people in the restaurant, and it still took us 40 minutes to get our food.
Damn.
And it's like, come on, people. I'll get back there and cook the eggs. I don't care. But we got to go.
So the big question is, everyone wants to know, did you leave a tip for this waitress?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Oh, that's
I did.
so nice of you.
Yeah, it is nice of me.
Listen,
Damn
all right,
it.
right
It is
here,
nice of
people.
me.
Worst service in the world. Gus is going to tip you.
Pretty much, man. And I'll tell you, I have such a soft spot for anyone in the service industry because I know that $2.10 won't get you very far at all in this world. And so, yeah, I do tip. Now, I wasn't exceptionally generous, but I pretty much it was a 15% tip on this made-up $25.25 that she charged us.
You know, I'm actually the same way. I always leave a tip. And sometimes when I get the worst service in the world, I actually leave like a big, fat 25-30% tip. Because I almost think maybe in my head they go, I just gave him the worst service and this guy gave me a shit ton of money. What the hell? Maybe I should be nicer. I don't know. Maybe,
dude, I
it's
do
the
that
exact
all the time.
opposite.
Yeah, I totally do that. In my head, I think to myself, oh man, I'm guessing that these people have had a super shitty day and that of all the tables, if I don't tip, none of these people are going to tip. So here you go. I hope you're able to put gas in your car, which will change your life enough that you can get a different job because being a server is not what you were meant to be doing.
Yeah, and I too have served tables before, so I definitely have some sympathy for that profession.
How were you at serving tables? Were you good?
I don't know. I'd like to think I was. I had a hard time dialing in the niceness because you just meet so many people over and over, and they are always asking something of you, which really annoyed me. They always wanted something, which was exactly my job, so it was not something I could deal with well. So I was always neutral to nice. Like, the slower it was, the nicer I would be.
Yeah. Did you ever get, like, totally slammed where you had 10 tables or 20 tables all going at the same time?
You're so far behind, you're just like, oh, I just want to go into the bathroom and cry.
Yeah. Yeah, did you have that?
Yeah, totally. I worked at a breakfast place. Maybe that's why I like breakfast food so much. Yeah, you just get so far behind, all you can do is focus on the one thing you have to do next, and that's kind of what I did. And, eventually everyone got their food and got out the door, and the day was over. You could go on with your life.
Did you get a big tip ever?
I did. Whenever I did magic tricks, I would always get like a big fat tip, and I always thought to myself, why didn't I do that more? I could have cleaned up if I spent time to do like a 2-second magic trick for every table.
Oh, yeah, man. That would have been awesome.
But I didn't because I was very artistically minded. I'm like, this is not my performing venue. I do not want to be seen as a magician waiter.
Oh, no. I don't perform unless I'm wearing the green pants. No.
Yeah. Totally snobby about what I did.
That's awesome, man.
Oh, man. So I went to New York City this past weekend with first Monday Club guest Norman Ing, and we went down to see two shows. Darren Brown, he's a English mentalist. He's like super huge and famous over in England, but not many people know about him in the U.S. But YouTube him, Darren Brown, tons of stuff from his TV shows and live shows on YouTube. And the show In and of Itself by Derek Delgadio. Now, let's start off with Darren Brown first. He's the best, period. He is the best mentalist mystery entertainer I think I've ever seen. His stuff is so well thought out. He's got a great personality on stage. You like him. And the ending, I can't talk about the ending, but it is, because if you go to see it, I don't want to ruin anything for you. It's just an amazing, it's like different parts of the show all coming together for a huge mind fuck, and you're just left going, what is going on?
Everyone that I know that has seen Darren perform has said the same thing. They've said it was hands down the most impressive mentalism show that they have ever seen in their life, and that he was super, super nice about the show, and you got a good feeling about him, and that he was cool, and then that the show in and of itself was just polished and awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing, or a couple things I loved I loved pretty much everything about Darren's show, but the show started before it started, which is always cool. When
those are the way to
do something.
Go. Yeah,
you do something, and everyone's invited to do something before the show starts, and then it comes into play later in the show, and then it ends after it ends, too. I'm talking Easter eggs, people. I don't want to give it away, but if you go to the show and you notice something after the show ends, it's going to make the show 100 times better, which it's hard to do already because it was so good, but if you notice that Easter egg at the end, you're just like, what? That was so mind-blowing. That's so cool. And I love how he doesn't point it out either. It's just there for you to figure out on your own.
That's my favorite. I love both movies and shows that do that, where the audience is given credit to be smart enough to figure out all of the different Easter eggs that are put in there. You don't have to handhold them and say, look, point right at this thing. This is the thing I'm trying to get you to see. But instead, they're just like, hey, there it is. So if you want to see it, cool. And if you don't, that's cool.
Yeah. And I have to say I wasn't smart enough to see it. There was somebody walking out that pointed it out to their friend, and I overheard them. But that's that's just as good as figuring it out for yourself, or almost as good as figuring it out for yourself, because you still get to experience that brain-melting awesomeness. Yeah. And so after... Here, I'll run through the whole weekend we did. So we got down there. We went to that show on Friday night, and then afterwards we met up with Eric Diddleman, future guest on Monday Club. He's coming up, and we went out with friends from the show. Before then, we actually got to meet Darren. He was outside the theater signing autographs and got a picture, and it was super nice and sweet to everybody. So that was awesome.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, he was a nice guy from the 3 seconds I spent talking to him. And so we went out on the town, and we went to this amazing bar, and there was just like the New York magicians meet up at this bar that has amazing, interesting craft beers, and I can't remember the guy who was there, and there people doing card tricks and like pretty freaking awesome stuff. And then we started playing drinking games at the bar, and
this story sounds impossible to believe.
It is. It was pretty fun.
What drinking games did you play?
Oh, Harrison Greenbaum, magician and comedian from New York, taught us a game with beer coasters. Everyone got 4 beer coasters, and everyone has a beer coaster that's drawn on. So you have 3 regular beer coasters and 1 that's different. It's a betting game, so you don't actually bet money, but damn it, now I can't remember. It was a coaster game. You throw in a coaster into the middle. I was taught this. You know how many drinks I had when I played this game?
You should have had smelling salt with you.
I should have. I would have remembered it. Anyways, I can't remember the rules, but it was fun. You should play it. Email Harrison for the rules. I don't know. It was really fun. Anyways, so then afterwards, we went out to a 24-hour diner and had food, and I stupidly ordered like a whiskey and ginger, and it was like 90% whiskey and 10% ginger at like 3 in the morning. Then we made our way to Times Square, and at 4 in the morning, Times Square is amazing because it's almost empty. but the lights are all on, so it feels like it's the daytime. It's like super bright, all the lights are on, everything's moving, and there's barely anybody there, and it's really quiet. So that was awesome.
Man, Times Square is one of the most magical places on Earth to me. There's just there's so much city and electricity and human actions happening there that you feel like you're at the center of humanity, the cradle of humanity, just sitting in Times Square, and you don't have to do anything. I mean, you don't have to go to any of the big bars or the nightclubs or anything like that. You can literally just stand on a street corner and watch humans go by and think to yourself, man, this is amazing to be sitting right here.
Yeah, it's the perfect definition of civilization because there's so many different types of people, kinds of people, doing so many different types of things or on their way to different things that you're just like, wow, everyone's living for the most part in harmony, it was just very very cool. And then so that's when we called it a night there. The next day me and Norm went down to Chinatown. That's not a joke. We actually went down to Chinatown and we met up with other magician Nash Fung. He was in town taping something for TV. They took me out to dim sum. Nash and Norm are both Chinese, so they know their dim sum. So if you ever go to dim sum, go with Chinese people that speak Chinese.
Dim sum is some of my favorites. It is amazing food.
Oh, I love it so much. I wasn't even hungry when I went in the restaurant, but then they started ordering stuff, and I couldn't help myself. I had pretty much a whole serving of my share of dim sum. What else? Well, okay, we went down. Oh, okay, so we'll skip all the way ahead to that night. Saturday night, we went to see Derek Delgadio's Me and Norm In and of Itself. I heard about the show through some people saying it was a really good show, best show they've ever seen, and I always like to temper my expectations because, I want to come to conclusions on my own. So I thought it would be good, but I didn't. And I saw his first show, Nothing to Hide with Helder, years ago in New York, and I really loved that show. So I had high expectations, but I was still trying to, come with an open mind. I might not like it, but I couldn't help it. It was just from the beginning. The show started before it started, like Darren's show, and I have to say this was the best show, period, magic show or otherwise, I've ever seen. And calling it a magic show actually does it a disservice. It's not a magic show. If you're going to see the show thinking you're seeing a magic show, you're probably going to be disappointed if you have that expectation. Because there's only 5 or 6 actual magic effects or tricks in the show. But the whole thing is like a theatrical masterpiece. There's so much, it's very personal. And he talks, the whole theme is identity is an illusion, and he talks about that, and he tells stories from his life and other stories, and he brings them together, and there's these magic moments at the end of these stories that just drive it home. Like, I've never felt that way in a show before. It's hard to describe. Like, I've never felt that way. And his magic tricks floored me, blew me away. In the moment, every trick fooled me. Afterwards, I have a couple theories about a couple of them, but there's the rest of them still completely blew my mind. Just completely amazing. And the ending, like my brain imploded. It was such a mind fuck. And you just sit there afterwards. It was the first show, probably the first show I've ever been to where I didn't feel like I was forced to do a standing ovation. I was literally one of the first people that jumped out of my seats. It was a reflex. My legs just brought me up. I wasn't even thinking about it. I was just like, boom, I'm there. I can't help myself. I was exploding with excitement for this show. Wow. And the show ended. There was Easter eggs in the show, and he even pointed some out, and we figure them out. Anyway, I can't say too much. I just want to say it was one of the greatest things, and we just spent the rest of the night and the rest of the ride home talking about that show because it's a game changer. It completely changes the game on what a quote-unquote magic show could be. So if you're in New York, man, go see that show. It's worth it.
Oh, well, one, I'm ridiculously jealous. That sounds like you win for the weekend of cool stuff to do, hands down. And second of all, it is so nice to hear that there is some good theater being produced and offered, man. I got a little down. The last couple of shows that I've seen were fine. They were fine shows, but they all seemed pretty much the same, or like they were going for the same thing. That feeling that you said where you stood up right after the show, not because you were told to or led to or anything like that, but that you needed to stand up and give a standing ovation. Those moments are so few and far between, so rare for me when I go see theater, that hearing that you had that experience is just freaking awesome, man. That's so cool.
Yeah, and there were literal moments in that show where I know I made fun of you and Norm for crying at superhero movies, but I literally started tearing up. I don't know if it was excitement, emotion, whatever, something. And then I got that feeling that I guess regular people do, non-magicians, when a really powerful magic effect happens to them. I literally, like, my adrenaline I started shaking, and I'm like, it was, one of the best theatrical experience I've ever had in my life. So,
Man.
yeah.
Well, dude, let's cheers to both of those performers.
Cheers to
Darren Brown, and who's the other?
Derek Delgadio.
Derek Delgadio, from our humble magic world to yours, friends. Cheers to you.
All right, so I have to backtrack on my story a little bit because I forgot to tell you about, we almost got in a fight in a pizza joint in New York City.
Go on.
Saturday, during our walkabout the city, me, Norm, and Nash went to get some pizza at a little, hole-in-the-wall pizza place. And we're sitting down in this tiny little shop having some pizza. And there's a couple sitting directly next to us. And then this guy comes in off the street, and he comes up to one table and starts asking for money. And then he comes to our table, and he asks us for money, and we're just like, no, sorry, man. And, he goes away. And then he goes to the other table and starts asking for money. And then all of a sudden, this guy that he asked money from blew up and just started yelling at him and threatening him. Like, I'm going to kick your ass. What the fuck? Why do you come in here and do this? The guy asking for money was kind of, I would say, at a 1 or 2 energy level. This guy...
Right.
This guy that blew up on him brought it to like a 10 or an 11 immediately on a scale of 10. And it just was like a huge escalation factor. And I'm like, what? I was just taken like, what the hell is happening here? I thought I missed something. I thought the guy asking for money said something really bad, but so I thought I had a missing piece of information. So I'm just kind of like trying to maybe stay out of it a little bit, but it just kept going. And after 30 seconds, which felt like 5 minutes, I was just like, hey, calm down, guys, relax. And I was just saying, calm down, relax, not a big deal, calm down, and then Nash gives the guy a couple bucks, and the guy eventually leaves. Afterwards, we were talking about it. I'm like, did I miss something? Who was in the wrong there? And then we came to the conclusion that the guy that was being asked for money was an asshole. That was our conclusion.
So, but let me understand this. The homeless guy that came in and asked asshole dude for money wasn't backing down?
No.
So, like, what was his position? Was his position like, hey, it's a free country, I can ask you for money and interrupt your meal anytime I want to?
I think he felt like he was being assaulted verbally, and he was trying to defend himself. Like... There was a point where the guy being asked for money said, I'm going to kick your ass. And then the homeless guy was like, I'm going to kill you. And I'm like, oh, shit. Yeah.
I mean, that's not funny.
No.
But
And so, I mean, the homeless guy, he's got, not much to lose except his, what he's got on him. But I was like, who knows what's going to set some guy off. And he's going to pull a knife out or gun or whatever and just start going to town on this guy.
All right, Pete, I'll tell you what. We didn't talk about this ahead of time, but let's break this down Monday Club style, okay?
All right.
First of all, I think in this situation you handled things to the best of your ability, i.e. you got the homeless person out of there. You tossed them a couple bucks, you said, "Hey, how about we not murder anyone in this restaurant?" And everybody kind of go their separate ways, and that seems to have diffused the situation.
That was Nash. I did not do that.
Okay. Well,
I was about to buy him some food, and then he was like, I'm going to kill you. And then I'm like, I can't buy a potential murderer food. Like, come on.
No, you can't. No, that's right. You can't do that. Plus, it wouldn't have done any good. They would have still been in the restaurant with asshole dude who was seething. So I do think asshole dude was in the wrong in this situation, simply for escalating it from a 2 to a 12. I think that it is an awkward situation that you're being put in whenever a homeless person comes up and asks you for money. I personally, it's like I understand that homelessness is a real thing. I understand that there are people out there that genuinely have problems and need help. That being said, when I'm out on a date or something like that, I don't want to have a homeless person come into the restaurant and walk table to table panhandling. Like, I think that throws off the whole vibe.
But that's what, okay, this was a hole in the wall, and that's what even made it more awkward, is that there's this woman sitting there with this dude, and she's like just kind of smiling and laughing awkwardly while this exchange is going on, and the homeless person's sitting up, she's in the middle, and the other guy's on the other side. If there was any fight, she was going to be in the middle of it. If this guy, like...
Oh, yeah. That dude was a jerk. Like, that guy's just an asshole. I think he was trying to front like he was a big, bad, tough guy, right? But in order to actually do anything, he would have to climb over his girlfriend or whatever. Like, forget that. That dude's just trying to posture.
Yeah, and then after the homeless guy left, he immediately, like, started laughing and talking to us. Oh, I'm from Queens. This happens all the time. And we're like... okay. And then we left, and I'm like, that guy was a fucking asshole. What a dickhead.
Yeah.
I mean, you know...
Yeah. No, he was just trying to posture like he could be a badass and yell at a bum or something like that, and...
Yeah. Because, I mean...
It's too bad.
He wasn't pestering us. We were just basically like, no, sorry, man, sorry. And he went away. And that was it. This guy, yeah, he wanted to posture and seem all big and bad, and... Frankly, I think the homeless guy would have kicked his ass.
You could have just bet money on it. Oh, man, so that totally reminds me. I actually have a lot that I want to talk about this. This sparked a whole bunch of homeless people stories. Right. But my first one is when my son was 2 years old. It was wintertime here, and I was running late to take him to daycare, and I hadn't fed him yet. So we swoop into a McDonald's, and I get him some of those McDonald's hotcakes. You know what I'm talking about? Like those McGriddles?
Yeah. Yep.
Those things are delicious.
Amazing.
So I got him some McGriddles, and we were heading from there to his daycare, and they came out, and they were too hot. The sausage on them was too hot. And so, being the smart guy that I am, I rolled down my window and held the bag out of my car so that the cold air from the wintertime could cool it down. And I'm sitting at a traffic light holding this bag. My son's crying in the back because he's super hungry and he's tired. And I'm like, oh my God, just come on, change light, change, we gotta go. And I look in my rearview mirror and I see a one-legged bum like come hobbling as fast as he can to my car to come get some free food.
Oh my God.
And I had this weird existential crisis because on the one hand, there's a guy who has one leg who is like hobbling down the sidewalk trying to come and get this free food. On the other hand, I'm not in it to be altruistic. I'm just trying to cool down my son's food. And the thought of handing off my son's food and having a hungry child in the back of the car and then having to go back through the line of the McDonald's like wasn't happening. And so I just told myself, I was like, man, if this light changes before this guy can get to me, then I'm out. And if it doesn't, if he hobbles all the way up with his one-legged self up to my car and I'm just stuck here, then I guess he's supposed to have this food, not me. Well, the light changed, and I felt like such an asshole. But no. I chirped out of there, man. I peeled out. I burned rubber.
How close?
And just hauled ass out of there. And
he?
I'm sure everyone in line behind me was like, that guy is the biggest douche nozzle of all time.
How close was he? Was he like with arm's length?
He was close. He was real
if
close.
If he reached out just another inch or two.
Yeah, I mean, he almost made it. He almost made it, but then the light turned green, and I did. I burned rubber out of there, man.
Wow. That's hilarious. You're such a dickhead. Oh my god.
I wasn't being a dickhead though. It would be one thing if my intent was to, like, I was setting a trap, like I was baiting a homeless guy to come and try to get free
like
food.
To everybody, including the homeless guy.
Oh, I know that everybody who was watching that thought that I was the biggest asshole there, but I was just trying to feed my kid. Like.
Oh man. You ever go down the road and see some creative, funny signs to try to get you to cough over money?
Oh yeah, man. I think I told you on a different episode about the guy that he ran up to me and his sign said he'd fall down for me for $1, and then he just put his legs up and fell on the ground. That guy was funny. Brian Brushwood, for one of his episodes, he was driving down the road and he saw a bum that held a sign that said, "You can yell at me for $1." And Brian rolled down the window. He's like, "Is that a true thing?" And the guy's like, "Yeah." So he gives him $1 and just starts going off on the guy about how much he hates mayonnaise.
That's awesome.
But the other day I was driving and I saw this sign and I was like, man, that's super creative, homeless guy. But the sign said, "Ninjas kidnap my family, need money for karate lessons." I was like, that's funny. That's funny. And for months, I thought that...
I'd give him $1 for that.
Right? For months, I thought that was like my own hometown homeless person being funny. And then, you know what happened?
What?
I Googled it. I Googled funny street signs held by homeless people. And that same sign shows up all over the country. It's like there's a network of homeless people and coming up with funny signs. They got Google. They can get Google. All they got to do is Google funny signs, and it totally cheapened it for me.
I thought they had a comic writer, like on. They're getting. We'll write funny shit. We want 20%.
You got to provide your own Sharpie and cardboard.
Yeah. While you were saying that, I actually just Googled creative homeless signs. There's some pretty good ones. This guy's holding one. Need money for penis enlargement. Want to be a porn star. Oh, this is a good one. I slept with Lindsay Lohan. That's it.
That's all that's on the sign.
And now he needs money.
So I did the same thing. I'm looking at some of these too. This one says, "No joke, kick me in the nuts for $20."
Oh man, I could never do that.
Wait. So scrolling down, there's another one that says, "Kick me in the nuts for $5." So I guess the going rate for what it is to get kicked in the nuts goes down.
Kicking someone in the nuts. Spent all my money on this cardboard and marker. Hey, look, I see the ninja and karate lessons one.
Yep, I see that one too. There's a guy with no legs that says, "Give me some money or I'll kick you in the face." That's funny.
Will eat for food.
Yeah,
there's an honest one.
Man,
need money for beer, drugs, hookers.
Oh my god. Yeah. So my basic point, my friend, is that I don't trust I don't really trust homeless people to start off with. As in, I've seen homeless people that look super ratty pull out a cell phone and text their friends. And it's I don't know, man. It's a hard situation. Going back to your whole situation, I think you guys handled it pretty well. I think that there's nothing you could do about the guy who's trying to show off and act like he's super tough and trying to start a fight. Because if he was really pissed, he would have stood up. He would have been like, "Look, I'm going to take your ass outside." That's not what he was doing. He just wanted to be loud.
Yeah, he never left his seat.
So
I have a question about homeless people for you and giving money.
Hit me.
I have a policy that I never give money to homeless people. I might sound like a dickhead to everybody, but I don't do it because I feel like I'm responsible for where that money's spent. If I'm enabling someone's addiction, then I feel like I'm just as guilty. So I'll all day long give them food, and I have, if I have food in the car, I'll totally hand it out the window to them. There was a guy in a Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru once asking for money, and I was like, "Hey man, I'll buy you a sandwich." He's like, "No thanks."
We've had that too.
Yeah.
We've definitely had that too. My wife and I have offered. She usually, when she makes muffins and stuff like that, will make too many so that she can put them in bags and hand them out to homeless people because she actually has a heart. And she went and tried to give some home baked muffins away with notes and I think blankets and stuff like that too. And the homeless person's like, "Nah, that's cool. Do you have any money though?"
Yeah.
She's like, "Man, fuck you."
Because they can get all that. There are, there's shelters. I mean, they're probably not the nicest places in the world, but they can usually get things to survive on. It's but it's sad. Yeah. So I have a strict policy. I don't. What do you give money, or are you? What do you do?
No, I don't even give the food that I dangle out my own window to.
You just use food to bait them and then step on the gas.
Yeah, I want to see how fast you can run one leg. No, I don't, man. I don't give money, and it's for that same reason. I think you put it pretty eloquently. I do feel like I'm responsible for where that dollar goes. And I'll tell you, I have bought beer and had beer on me, seen a homeless person, and given them beer. Like, hey, man, do you want a beer? And they're like, hell yeah, there you go. When I used to smoke cigarettes, I would hand out some cigarettes to homeless people. It's like, there you go. If you smoke, there you go. But money, I think, is too... Not only do I think I'm responsible for where and how that is spent, I also feel in my heart of hearts that there's no amount of money that I can give someone who is truly homeless that would be helpful.
Yeah, totally. They're not going to get out of their situation by the $2 you give them.
Right, or the $20 or the $50. I mean, the $50 I give them might help for the next few hours, but it's not going to make that big of a difference. There needs to be something else that happens. So my part in it is, food or a comfort or something like that. I'm happy to give that when I have the opportunity.
Yeah, the money would be better spent like giving it to a shelter or something, because they're going to actually provide.
That's the way I think
too. They're going to
too.
Provide housing and food for these people.
Right. We look forward to all of your letters.
Man, I feel like we should start some sort of good charity or something now.
Yeah, we should give a Monday Club beer to a homeless person. Maybe I'll do that. I've got a 6-pack of this stuff. Here you go.
Give them a Monday Club cup for to ask for money out of in.
Oh my! That's like the worst advertising we could possibly do. Like some grassroots ass marketing.
I used to live
like just panhandle out of our Monday Club cup, and we'll hook you up with some beer.
I used to listen to Monday Club. Now look where I am.
Yeah, don't take any of our financial advice. It's terrible.
And that takes us to teachable moments. Oh, that was
good. We'll work on it. We'll work on it.
Okay. So my teachable moment for this week is go to New York City, buy a ticket, sell your house, sell a kidney, whatever you have to do, go and see In and of Itself. Amazing show. I got to say it again. It's an amazing show. If you like theater, if you like great theater, if you like great magic, just brings them together in the best possible way, and it's very inspiring and such a really great show. So that's all I have to say. Go see that show.
All right. In and of Itself, super plug for you guys from Monday Club. My teachable moment is from something that happened to me on stage the other day. For one of the activities I do is a talent show for as a bit for some of our game shows, and I brought some people up on stage who said they have a talent, started them off on their talent show portion, and this one girl is up there, and she just couldn't think of a single thing that she could do, and I was trying to help her. I was like, can you roll your tongue? Can you make a funny noise? Are you double-jointed? Can you wiggle your ears? Are you anything? Are you flexible? Can you dance? Can you sing?
Are you flexible?
And the audience started yelling out and was like, hey, she's the choir president or something like that. And I was like, oh, there you go. Then just sing us a couple of bars. And she was like, no, I don't sing in front of people. I was like, okay,
what?
well, right? I was like, well, anything? Do you know a magic trick? Can you juggle? And she got nothing. And so she just sat down, and I felt really bad for her because she looked like she was a sucky person. So here's my teachable moment. My teachable moment is simply this. Have something in the bag, so if you get called up, you can do some kind of strange talent. Like, it doesn't have to be fancy. Like I said, just if you can wiggle your ears or make your eyebrows do something funny or make a weird noise, whatever you have, just have it in the bag so when you get put on the spot, you are able to deliver. Because otherwise, you look like a silly human instead of a human doing something silly. That's it.
Thank you guys so much for listening to Monday Club. Check us out at mondayclubpodcast.com. Our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram's up there. Follow us on everything and talk to us through there. Also, mondayclubpodcast@gmail.com. Talk to us. Buy us a beer through there. Special thank you to James Caldwell, our sound engineer, and Zach Holder for our amazing music. I am Peter.
I am Gus.
That was quick on that one. Yeah. Thanks for listening.